Just waiting to go online. Good to go. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting in order. Just like to welcome all our guests. I know we have a delegation coming up, but we have an important matter before we do the delegation. And I have Councillor Leanne Burton on Zoom tonight. So before we begin tonight's meeting, I'd like to remind Council of a few procedural rules to ensure our discussions remain efficient and respectful. Any additions to the agenda, including items under new business, must be brought forward at the time the agenda is being approved. If you are requesting to add an item under new business, you are required to identify that it is being introduced and referred to administration for reports or a matter deemed to be urgent. Additionally, as per the procedure bylaw, members are permitted 2 opportunities to speak to each item. To help keep the meeting moving smoothly, please do your best to ask all your questions during your first opportunity to speak. Discussion at this table is not meant to be a dialogue back and forth with a single member. Finally, I want to remind everyone to remain professional, respectful, and cordial in all interactions with fellow council members and with staff. A constructive and respectful tone helps us conduct business effectively and in the best interest of our community. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. So moving on, we're going to do approval of the agenda. Motion is that the agenda for the council meeting of June 2nd, 2025 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor McConnell, seconded by Councillor Young. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we have a very important presentation tonight. So staff report, it's our appointment of Councillor Ray Young. Welcome back, Ray Young. Staff report 36-2025 is the appointment of Ray Young as councillor. The motion is that council approve and enact bylaw 25-2025, being a bylaw to appoint Ray Young as councillor in the town of Prescott. Can I have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Kirkby and Deputy Mayor Campbell. Just going to call the question. All those in favor? Great. Pass. Thank you. So next we're going to do the oath of office of Councillor Ray Young, and our clerk Chloe Preston will administer the oath of office for Councillor Young. Thank you.
Mayor Shankar didn't vote on that. Oh, sweet.
It's not required to vote. No. Would you like a copy of what we're going to read? Ready? Place your hand on the Bible. And you'll repeat. I, Ray Young, having been appointed to the office of councillor.
I, Ray Young, having been elected or appointed to the council, to the office of councillor
In the municipality of Prescott.
in the municipality of the town of Prescott,
Do and declare.
do solemnly promise and declare that
I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner.
I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful and bear allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III.
Was it true?
True.
True, okay. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration consistently believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is the same force and effect as if made under oath. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're right.
Order. Thank you. Welcome back, please.
Thank you very much.
You can.
One of many.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Okay, next we're just going to do declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest tonight? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our delegation. So tonight we have a delegation from South Grenville District High School, the grade 7 and 8 French immersion class. Oh, I hope I get these names right. So we have LMA Peters, Madeline Sloan, Stella Higginson, John Clark, Charlotte Davidson, and Ellie Gagnon. And teacher Angie Hunter. Oh,
Madam Cassidy.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were a student. Okay,
I'm the real world learning partner.
gotcha. So you got 10 minutes. Go ahead. Who's gonna do the presentation?
This is our real world learning project presented by the grade 7-8 intermediate French immersion class at South Grenville District High School. Our goal: we have partnered up with Real World Learning Department of UCDSB to help us reduce screen time in our community. We are hoping that you'll partner with us to help make this positively impacting goal a reality.
The posters. The plan is to make a multitude of informational signs and posters to be put up around the Elaine Chartrand Community Center. These posters will have information of past and present sports stars, organizations, and teams from Prescott and the surrounding area. We are making these posters to be bilingual, so any visitors whose first language is French will still be comfortable here in Prescott.
Examples: Leo Boyven, Prescott, PDSA, Elaine Chartrand, Ron Baker, also known as Old Coach, Ben Hutton, PFSC, Prescott Piranhas, History of South Grenville Rangers, and the History of the Prescott Golf Club.
The children's story. Students are writing and illustrating a story for the children to read with their parents around the Elaine Chartrand Community Center. This story will go in the general area of Many Sticks Arena, as the entire story may be too big for it to fit all in the play area alone. This will give kids a thing to do while their parents and or kids are on the ice. This will also be written for the children's entertainment if they do not have a mini stick. This story will be as inclusive as the information posters because they will be in both French and English.
In our preparation, our class has diligently been researching historic and monumental athletes, organizations, and teams. We've put together a number of informational pieces to put around the Elaine Chartrand Community Center.
Our proposal: we believe that this project will have an extremely beneficial impact on our community, but we can't do it alone. We are asking for your permission to use the Elaine Chartrand Community Center to display our work. We would be looking to install durable posters around the arena.
The final product. At the end of this project, the Elaine Chartrand Community Center will have more inclusive activities for both children and adults that will positively impact their learning, informing them about sports from Prescott, and most importantly, keeping them off their devices. These signs will be inclusive to both French and English speakers.
Thank you for your time.
All right, are you guys open for some questions? You're prepared? All right. Open up the floor to council if there's any questions. Councilman Connell?
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming tonight. It's nice to see young people that have an interest in the community. You mentioned the posters, durable posters. Do you actually have one of these posters you've made so far? Because that's something, if we're gonna put a bunch of things in the arena, it'd be nice if we had an idea of their size, of what they actually looked like.
It would be about 42 by 42 centimeters, so they're not huge. We do not have one with us because they've not been ordered or anything yet. But they're gonna be kind of like I think almost like plasticky material so that they're pretty durable.
The reason we haven't ordered them yet is so we can get like to know that we have permission to put them in before we do anything that's gonna be cemented.
Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Kirkby?
Just to echo on Councilor McConnell's, I'd like I'd like to thank you all for coming, and it's great to see the interest in the community and doing some research that's in Prescott. One suggestion I may add, if you have any room, would be the Prescott Curling Club, also that has a long history here in Prescott. Thank you.
Good. You have a question? No? And sorry, how many posters were you looking at?
I think we're looking about 20, I would say.
20 give or take.
Wow. So more than just the examples you listed. Okay, very nice.
So we could definitely add the curling club.
Very nice. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Councilor Campbell.
Shanker. Again, great work. This is a very exciting project, so thanks for coming. Just wondering if are you going to have sports that are historical to Prescott but that aren't running now? For example, Prescott Little League, or are you trying to promote more what kids can do now?
We're mostly doing history of like different kinds of sports, so not as much as what would be in the future or even promoting kids for them. It's mostly something informational for people to look at maybe like while they're walking around the track. So to like learn a little bit of the history here in Prescott and things like that.
Okay, so I may add, if you want, Prescott Lawn Bowling Club goes back into the 1890s, so that's very historical. But I just wanted to caution you because it's not running today, so.
Oh,
Thanks.
and our newly minted Councilor Ray Young.
Oh, thanks. In the last 40 years, we have honored several gentlemen around town. Ed Brown, Tom Carr, and Councillor Kirkby's grandfather, Chick. They have had ball diamonds named after them, and perhaps down the road, they could be considered for your posters.
Maybe if it really does go super well, we can even add more along the way in the future as well. Even for like future classes, like the new kids that are coming in grade 6s, they could continue the project on. So we could definitely add more historical features to it.
Very nice.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story we could always, if it does well, we could always write a different one.
Yeah, we can switch out the story after like maybe if people are actually interacting with it, we could make new ones and we could put them in instead to change it up.
That's a great idea. Well, seeing no other questions, I'll just give you a quick heads up what's going to happen. It looks like it's a very positive response from council. So what's going to happen next is staff's going to work with you guys and put a report together so that we can approve it probably by the next meeting. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming. Good job. Very much. Sure.
I'm gonna let everybody know about it.
Might be on the wall someday.
Yeah.
That's where I'm heading right after this.
Very nice. You guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting? I always ask and I don't usually get a positive response.
It's gonna run to the 90 hours. So.
Might have homework to do, right? Okay, there you go. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Good. Okay, so moving on, we're going to go through minutes of the previous council meetings. Recommendation is that council minutes dated May 20th, 2025 be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover and seconder on that? Councillor Burton, thank you. And Councillor Kirkby. Any questions or concerns about the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. There's no communications and or petitions. Next is the council information package. The motion is that all items listed under the consent report section of the agenda be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that? Deputy Mayor Campbell and seconded by Councillor Kirkby. Is there anything in the consent agenda that you want taken out? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. No committee reports tonight, so we'll do a mayor's report. So in the last couple of weeks, I attended, Steve Clark was given a King Charles medallion. I think all the MPPs got one, but he didn't know about it, so they had a nice little presentation with quite a few people there for that. I know his mom was there and his family, so it was nice for him. I attended Charter Night at the Legion. That was very well done. There was 5 lifetime members were awarded, and also we had MPP Clark and MP Barrett were there, so that's kind of nice for them to come to that. We had an OPP detachment board meeting last week. It was our first one as a full council there, and we're ironing out a few things. There was a few things on there that we were discussing, but we're going to meet every 3 months on that one. Port Fest was this weekend. I stopped in a little later. Of course, Mother Nature is not our friend, you know, and a lot of hard work done by Dana and Justin, and George Tierney and Sean, Lucy. They did a great job. From all reports, it was a packed house right at the start, but hopefully the rest of the summer goes well. And last but not least, the pop-ups. The pop-ups have been open and we've been going down there, and again, kind of weather dependent, right? So I'm going to move along, and we're going to start on this side here with Councillor McConnell, and we'll go around the table, get Leanne, and then back this way. Councillor?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I attended a cemetery board meeting last week, which was actually our general meeting for the year, where we approve the prices for the various things that we offer at the cemetery for the coming year. And spent some time back in the cemetery doing some maintenance, pre-cutting, and that type of thing. I'd like to thank the town crew for removing the brush that I cut in a timely fashion. We did have one internment last week. It went very well, as you might expect. And I think that's really all I have to report, Mayor Shankar. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Ray, you want to give it a shot?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have any meetings to go to?
I did. As the chair of the cemetery board, I was also at that meeting. Of course, I was not a member of council at the time, but I did attend that meeting. And on Saturday morning, I attended an internment at Blue Church Cemetery, and that was for Shirley Hodgins. Shirley was a long time resident of Prescott. She was 8 or 9 weeks shy of 100 years.
Oh, man.
When she passed away in her room at Merrickville. It was a terrible day, but it was nice to see the family there with a lot of great stories about Shirley.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I attended the Heritage Committee meeting on May 22nd, and the committee is continuing to review properties to consider their heritage attributes. On May 28th, the BIA had a summer events committee meeting. There's going to be a Shop Local summer loyalty program launch, so stay tuned for that. And Porch Fest, as you mentioned. Unfortunately, it was rain that day, but we still made the best of it. So it was good. And the musicians were amazing. There's so much local talent that we're not aware of until you actually attend one of these events. So that was good. The branding strategy update, there's the visual material development is underway now. And the Lighthouse season has been going well, Dana said. There's been lots of visitors. The Prescott tourism brochures have been circulated to the United States through the Thousand Island Tourism Exchange Program. And there's various business anniversaries happening. One of significant note is Hometown Heating 33 years.
Wow.
That's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Young. On that note, with the, you mentioned cross-border shopping. I have a meeting this week with Mayor Tooley from Ogdensburg. So he's actually coming over here and we're gonna have a little chat and maybe take a couple of pics so that we can show that there's no hard feelings either way and that they're still our neighbors and our friends and try and promote shopping and on either side. So you reminded me of that. Thank you. Councillor Burton.
Thank you, Mayor Shane Carr. Welcome back, Ray. Sorry I can't be there tonight. I'm a little under the weather, but we got some events happening soon. Rib Fest, June 13th to the 15th. Really looking forward to that. Our Sunday night concerts are started on June 22nd, and we have a planning advisory meeting tomorrow night.
Thank you, Councillor Burton. Deputy Mayor Campbell.
You, Mayor Shankar, I attended the Relay for Life on Thursday at the high school and was just amazed at just the depth of the organization and what the kids can do and the spirit and enthusiasm and I'm a survivor, so we got this fantastic dinner that the hospitality class put on for survivors, and so that was awesome. But they raised $90,000, I believe, over $90,000. So that's incredible. And Chef Donovan also received one of the King Charles. So that was just awesome to be a part of that. And I will be attending fire administration meeting tomorrow night.
Great, thank you. Councillor Kirkby.
Through you, Mayor Shankar. I attended a lot of the same events, the Relay for Life, and something to note there is they beat last year's record, and last year was like 94,000. So this year they topped it, which was amazing, as Councillor Campbell stated. I met with some first-year medical students from Queens last Friday with Mayor Matt Wren, MPP Steve Clark, and local doctors. There was a bunch of local doctors there. Some really good conversation. There was 6 first-year medical students. I would say 3 of them like the idea of being in a smaller community. The other 3 for different reasons. It doesn't seem to work. But what I would say is the local doctors did a really good job at living and working in this area. So kudos to them on pointing out some, you can be a big fish in a little pond, or you can be small fish in a big pond, right? So they really did a good job. The local doctors and Dr. Batt from the Prescott Family Health Team was there. Work on East Street has started, so I'm sure everybody's seen that. Work continues at the Seymour Recreational Complex, Phase 1, which includes a skate park and soccer fields and many other great things. I also attended Porch Fest, and I was here earlier in the day and it was pretty busy. Food was good, music was great, and the drinks were pretty good too. And then last but not least, a little shameless promotion here, but soccer is kicked off as of tonight. It's officially started with over 400 kids. And this weekend we have the Row Ball Hockey Tournament happening at the Leo Boyven Community Center with over 100 players.
What day is that, Saturday?
Saturday.
Thank you. No, you got it. All right, well, thanks, everyone. So we got 4 staff reports tonight. The first one is staff report 37-2025. It's a draft letter to MMAH Strong Mayor Powers. I'm going to read the motion first. That council endorse the attached draft letter to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, expressing the town of Prescott's position on the Strong Mayor Powers And that council directs staff to send a letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and a copy to the Premier of Ontario, the Ministry of Red Tape Reduction, Member of Provincial Parliament for Leeds, Grenville, and Rideau Lake, Steve Clark, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario, and all municipalities across the province. All right, so can I get a mover and seconder, and then we'll get the report. Councillor McConnell and Councillor Kirkby. Ms. Chloe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. At our last council meeting on May 20th, council directed staff to draft a letter with regards to position relating to the discussion that was had around the table regarding the strong mayor's powers. The attached draft letter was prepared based on the discussion around the table and encompasses some themes around the relevance of strong mayor powers in small municipalities or the lack thereof, the sidelining of collaborative governance, and a recommendation, which was the main focus of the letter, following some of the discussions by members of council, to have the province address the delays and over the authority that they have in the mandates that they've provided, as well as an invitation to continue the dialogue between the province and the municipalities as this situation continues to evolve. The endorsed letter, if approved this evening, will be sent to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, as well as the key stakeholders that Mayor Shankar provided. I'm happy to take any questions or comments from council with regards to the letter.
Councillor Kirk.
Through you, Mayor Shankar, I think this is one of the best letters that I've read come through, and I've read a lot of them. So I think staff really nailed it here on this letter, and I'm in full support of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kirkby. I know that Matthew and I had a meeting with Steve Clark about a few different things, and we mentioned this letter, and he said this is the best way to go about it. I mean, we don't want to make not enemies, but you don't want to stick out like a red sore thumb to the Premier's office. And they've been very good to us in Prescott over the years, between our water tower, our arena, our wastewater funding. So we really have no complaints. So this is a kind of a more gentle approach of working together and collaboratively. So well done, Ms. Preston. Any other questions for Ms. Preston? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next is staff report 38-2025, the grant application for health and safety water stream funding. Speaking of which, motion is that council directs staff to submit an application to the health and safety water stream funding being administered by the Ontario Ministry of Infrastructure. I get a mover and seconder, Councillor Young, Ray Young, and Deputy Mayor Campbell. And so we got a mover and seconder. Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Shankar. Staff is seeking direction to apply to the Health and Safety Water Stream funding, which closes on June the 26th. It's an Ontario fund for $175 million for projects that protect and maintain housing units against health and safety risks. Projects must build, expand, or rehab aging water, wastewater, stormwater, or flood protection infrastructure. Projects to be eligible have to be able to start by June of next year and be complete by March of 2029. The fund covers up to 73% of the total project costs, as long as those are eligible by their criteria. So here in Prescott, we have two projects that fit the criteria and are both shovel ready. One is the water treatment plant flood protection project. This is a project that was approved in the budget of 2025 with a budget of $390,000. It's to rebuild the shoreline in front of the water treatment plant to protect against flooding. And it would look similar to the shoreline we see further east in front of the marina and in front of Riverwalk Park, where it's large stones as opposed to a concrete wall. So the intention here is to mitigate the risk of flooding. A few years ago when the water line was high, we did see water coming up over the wall and ponding in front of the water treatment plant. So for this project so far, we do have the request for tender documents prepared. We're waiting on some permit applications back currently, but we're recommending if we do apply for this grant funding, that we wait until we hear back about the grant funding before proceeding with the request for tender, just to make sure that all costs are eligible for the fund if we are successful. The other project is also at the water treatment plant, and it's for generator replacement. So the generator at that facility is from 1984. It is still running, but it's beyond its useful service life. It's hard to find parts for it. The fear is that you're one breakdown away from not being able to get it back up and running at that age. This is a plant that relies on generator backup to pump water in the event of a power outage. And so it's a project that protects the quality of water for all Prescott residents. The overall budget for that project would be $130,000. It's currently part of the 10-year capital plan for the facility, but it has not been in front of council yet for budget approval in a specific year. So the total cost of the projects included in the grant is $520,000. The grant would cover 73%, so about $380,000, which would leave a town contribution of $140,000. The approved budget for the flood protection project is $390,000, and so if successful, staff recommends that we would use the leftover budget because we received the grant to cover the already approved flood protection project as well as the new generator project.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to open up the floor to questions. Deputy Mayor Campbell.
Through you, Mayor Shankar. Matt, with all these grants, they want you to put them in pretty quick, but when would you find out an answer? Did they say when they would tell you if you're successful? When you're successful?
They did not.
No. I'm just worried about the generator. Do we have a backup plan that if it does go, that we would just replace it without the grant?
So I don't have a specific plan at this time. As I said, it's part of our 10-year capital plan, but it's not so urgent that we've recommended it as part of 2025.
Okay.
So if it did go down, we would have to find an alternative.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Councilor McConnell.
Thanks, Mayor Shankar. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Matt, but the placing of the large stone in the water on sort of a sloped idea like we have in front of the marina is not the only way that we're going to address this, is it not? I believe that the actual cement area, the sidewalk area, is going to be raised substantially over top of what's there now.
That's correct.
And if I may, is that going to be extended to all along the west side of that lawn, as well as east towards the parking area for the boat ramp?
I believe so. I would have to review the plan explicitly to know where the limit is, but my understanding is that full wall is being rebuilt.
So we did have a shoreline engineer look at it and do the design. So you're correct. It does come further towards the parking lot, and it does come around back north on the west side of the water treatment plant. And really what they were trying to do is address the wave action, because that's where we have our biggest issues. And so the rock will actually be approximately 1.5 foot higher than it is now, and then kind of drains to get it back if anything does come over.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Seeing, I do have a question, Matthew. In the report, it does say that the project was approved as part of the 2025 budget. How much was it approved for?
Sorry, it was approved as part of the 24, but I believe it was 390.
It was, okay. I thought it was less than that. Okay, perfect. But I mean, if we get this grant, then we don't have to spend all 390. And this would come out of the water, wastewater?
It would come out of the water treatment plant budget in terms of the local share.
Great, thank you. Seeing no further questions, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, next is staff report 39-2025, the 2025 street repaving. So the motion is that council directs staff to proceed with paving and road work as outlined in staff report 39-2025. Mover and seconder, so we can see that. Counselor Kirkby, Counselor Tracy Young. All right, Matlock, you got it again.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. So again, staff is seeking direction, this time to proceed with paving and road work as part of the 2025 street repaving project. These projects have been funded in previous years using OSIF funding. The total OSIF funding for 2025 is approximately $472,000. Edward Street asphalt, especially north of the bridge, is in poor condition, particularly along the curb lanes, both north and south. Staff are proposing milling and paving from the north expansion joint of the bridge. So this is, well, basically where you'll see that stretch of metal teeth that run along the bridge. So approximately 175 meters south of Churchill Road, all the way to Prescott Center Drive. So this is an area of approximately 10,000 square meters. It's a very high traffic area. There's also some large construction projects currently underway and set to be underway. So Wellington House is currently under construction in this segment. They have to replace a sanitary line and a gas connection to Edward Street. Both of these are slated for this summer. And then we now have a food basics project slated to begin construction. However, there aren't any utility connections to Edward Street as part of that project. The utility connections are on the side roads. So we are suggesting that this work would go forward in fall of 2025 after the Wellington House completes their utility projects, so that we can essentially squeeze in between those large construction jobs. So the recommendation is that we wouldn't start until September 1 or whenever we get confirmation that those two connections have been completed at Wellington House. We have additional servicing work also recommended. That's to replace 4 catch basin leads and a water valve. These are items that are expected to require replacement over the next 5 years. So as such, we recommend replacing them now before we mill and pave the asphalt. This way, over the next couple of years, we don't end up having to tear up the brand new asphalt to replace these items. So by getting ahead of those types of replacements, you can extend the useful life of your asphalt. We're also recommending a provisional item. This is if you have additional budget left over after the tendering process, you would mill and pave additional roads. So specifically, we're looking at the intersections of King Street and Ann Street and the intersection of King Street and West Street. These two intersections are both intersections where we have interlocking paving stone crosswalks. So we're actually recommending milling out both the asphalt and the interlocking paving stones and then repaving as an all asphalt intersection with a typical painted crosswalk. We note that in recent years, there's been an annual maintenance item to repair the IPS at these locations. And these two in particular are not in particularly great condition. The one at St. Lawrence Street was redone in 2017. It's in very good shape comparatively. And the one at King and Edward is in better shape than these two. So we're recommending going in a different design direction at these two locations. So financially, we are recommending using all of the $472,000 in the OSIF funding for this repaving project. The intention being we would do all of Edward Street, and then if there is extra budget available, we would do some or all of the provisional items on King Street.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Walk. Councillor Young, Ray Young?
Thank you. Matt, I'm surprised that that amount of work can be done for the $472,000. Is it expected to cover the entire repaving with that amount of money?
So based on our looking at prices that we have paid last year, we do expect that all of Edward Street will be able to be completed. I don't know in terms of King Street. The reason we list those provisional items is because there is float in the cost of these services. So the more you do, the unit rate typically decreases. And so we sort of put more work in than we think we're going to be able to fit just in case. And so I think internally we're thinking Edward Street for sure and less confident of how far we would be able to stretch people.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Any other questions? Councillor McConnell?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I actually walked down and had a look at those two intersections this afternoon. And I noticed we have some large patches in two of the crosswalks. So you're right, it's not standing up very well. The Ann Street one in particular, are you intending to take away and pave the east-west crosswalks as well as the north-south crosswalks? Okay, because that has been an issue with the crosswalks, West Street, St. Lawrence, and Ann Street. Originally, when they paved King Street, they paved up to the crosswalk, but they had taken out a chunk like that behind the crosswalk. They did that with a subcontractor, different pavement, and it has never stood up. The highway stood up pretty good, but that we fixed and patched, and so I'm very glad to see that that is going to be yanked out of there and have one good pavement job done on the whole thing. So I think this is the right way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Locke. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, next is our staff report 40-2025, the Prescott Family Medical Associates Cost Sharing Agreement. The motion is that council approves the support agreement for Prescott Family Medical Associates as presented and authorizes the mayor and chief administration officer to execute the agreement. Can I get a mover and seconder? Councillor Burton, Councillor Kirkby, Matthew, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So since our last meeting, both Augusta and Edward Federal have had a chance to review the agreement, and both did not recommend any changes. One point of clarification, because the Prescott Family Health Organization and Prescott Family Medical Associates are one and the same organization that is separate from the Prescott Family Health Team, it wouldn't preclude Family Health Team from making an application to the municipality for the funding. And if clauses 2.3 and 4.1 were removed, then we are definitely in the area of violating section 106 of the Municipal Act, which is divisive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Armstrong? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. No resolutions tonight. We have a couple of bylaws. The first one is 14.1 is bylaw 26-2025, being a bylaw to appoint the fire chief and deputy fire chief for the Prescott Volunteer Fire Department. Motion is that bylaw 26-2025, being a bylaw to appoint the fire chief and deputy fire chief for the Prescott Volunteer Fire Department, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Mover and seconder, Councillor Young, Deputy Mayor Campbell. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The second one is bylaw 27-2025, being a bylaw to enter into the transfer payment agreement with the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund. The motion is that bylaw 27-2025, being a bylaw to enter into the transfer payment agreement with the Housing Enabling Water System Fund, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Mover and seconder for that one, Councillor Kirkby and Councillor Burton. Any questions on that one? Nope.
Yeah, perhaps a little explanation would be in order.
Sure.
Mr. Armstrong?
So this transfer payment agreement is in relation to the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant, as well as the extension of water and sewer into Augusta Township. So we're very happy. It's a total of about $32 million project, and we're receiving $24 million of that through this grant. So very exciting news. We are embarking upon, we currently have a RFP out for the design work for all of the wastewater treatment plants, as well as the linear infrastructure. And we will be back on June 16th to recommend an awarding of that contract. All construction has to be done by the end of 2027, so we do have some pretty tight timelines. So we would foresee that the next 7 or 8 months will be design work, tenders out in the late winter, early spring of 2025, and work being completed by the end of 2027.
Excellent. Okay.
Actually, that kind of begs another question, and not so much for us around here, but for the people watching. $32 million is a big chunk of change, and as you mentioned, Matthew, $24 million is coming from this. Can you explain to the folks at home where the other $8 million is coming from?
Certainly. So a big chunk of it, a significant portion, will be from Augusta Township, and that's for all of the works that are going to be the expansion of the water and sewer, which is approximately half the project. Then the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal will be upping their portion and their investment in the wastewater treatment plant, and the remainder will come between the amount that we sell to Augusta in terms of capacity, as well as what we retain in our own amounts. So with the vast majority of that, about 75% will be not Prescott related, but actually coming from the other township.
That was, if I may, that was very clear. Thank you. And one other question that kind of goes with the whole thing. It's a construction project. It's $32 million. How much of that is actually going to take place within the borders of Prescott that will, I guess you might say, disrupt our people?
So
actually, maybe you tell us what's involved.
Certainly. So in terms of what happens in Augusta, we'll be extending the water and sewer along County Road 2 at our border and bring it down to Merwin Lane, and then north on Merwin Lane to almost the 401. So all of that will be in Augusta, but there will be obviously some disruption to traffic on County Road 2 and to Merwin Lane. When we're talking about within Prescott itself, there's a sanitary pumping station in and around the Coast Guard base. That will be expanded and a higher capacity and flow rate through it, as well as there's another pumping station at the corner of East Street and King Street, which will be upgraded. And finally, there's a pump station just on our border as you're going to Wexford, which will have an extensive increase to it in its capacity and flow rate. So those is kind of what's happening within Prescott. When you're starting to move to the west, 1.4 kilometers of the force main will be replaced and upsized, going from pump station number 5 to east. Yeah. And then interesting enough, that is mostly uphill, so that's why it's a force main. At the 1.4 kilometer mark, it actually turns into a gravity feed, and so no other work will be done. So if you kind of take a look at it, one season is probably going to be to our west, one season will be to our east, and during the full time in 26 and 27, they'll be doing work at the wastewater treatment plant itself. With that, it's increasing the flow and the capacity of the plant. So right now, the peak flow is about 16,000 liters per second, and it will expand to about 24,000 liters per second, and then the daily capacity will go from 4,700 to a little over 6,000 cubic meters per day. So that's all kit and caboodle of what we're doing, and several other upgrades at the plant itself in terms of sludge storage, dewatering of the sludge, as well as being able to address some of the concrete issues with the SBRs and the first original 3 tanks.
And the purpose of this whole thing
is for housing, and so it will allow our plant to grow by 33% in capacity, as well as a significant increase in the peak flow. So that being said, housing on our border, in particular between Sophia and Merwin Lane, and just to the west of Merwin Lane as well, is really where Augusta sees that the housing will can explode and really about 2,000 houses in that area. And this will be able to support that along with our own housing projects within the town.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. I think that was very informative for everybody. And nothing stands alone. We recently completed a new water tower, put it into service, and the increased capacity, and that goes hand in hand with this.
Absolutely. If I could just speak to that. So our previous water tower was insufficient for the size of our water plant and the capacity of it, as well as being able to support emergency and fire flow services. So with we went from about 2,200 cubic meters to 4,200 cubic meters, almost a doubling in size. And now that water tower is matched to the size of our plant, which is 8,000 cubic meters per day. So we're really starting to get to that point and being able to, we don't require any additional capacity to support that extra housing, but we did on the wastewater side.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Oh, Councillor Young?
In addition to our 3 pumping stations, we must be adding at least 1 or 2 new pumping stations.
Yeah, so there will be 2 additional pumping stations, both of which will be in Augusta Township.
Right. So they're pretty expensive on their own, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Forced main from Merwin Lane and Highway 2.
To be determined, but there's also a connecting back to Churchill. So so it will become a loop in particular.
Yeah.
And I believe will likely be a pumping station somewhere north of the tracks to be able to pump it up and then likely pumping it back. But I think that should solve it. But it really depends on the topography.
There's going to be a drop from Weiser Hall down to Merwin Lane, so there's got to be something there.
100%. Yeah. Just the exact placement of it is yet to be determined.
Good.
All right. Good discussion. Thank you, everyone. I'm just going to call that question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. No new business, no notices of motions. We have a couple of proclamations tonight. The first one is 17.1 is Pride Month. Whereas the town of Prescott is a welcoming and inclusive community that values diversity, respect, and equality for all residents and visitors. And whereas Pride Month is celebrated each June to honor the history, achievements, and ongoing struggles of the two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and other sexual and gender diverse communities. And whereas Pride Month originated from the Stonewall Uprising in June 1969, a pivotal moment in the ongoing movement for 2SL LGBTQIA plus rights and recognition. And whereas celebrating Pride fosters awareness, education, and deeper understanding of the rich diversity within our community, and affirms that everyone deserves to live free from discrimination and prejudice. And whereas the town of Prescott is committed to creating an environment where everyone, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, is valued, respected, and able to live with dignity. Therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Prescott does hereby proclaim the month of June as Pride Month in the town of Prescott and encourages all residents to recognize and celebrate the contributions of the 2SL LGBTQIA plus community and to continue working toward a more inclusive and equitable society for all. Next, 17.2 is Seniors Month. Whereas Seniors Month is an annual province-wide celebration, and whereas seniors have contributed and continue to contribute immensely to the life and vibrancy of this community, and whereas seniors continue to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and important and active members of this community, and whereas their contributions, past and present, warrant appreciation and recognition, and their stories deserve to be told, and whereas the health and well-being of seniors is in the interest of all and further adds to the health and well-being of the community, And whereas the knowledge and experience seniors pass on to us continues to benefit all. Therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Prescott does hereby proclaim the month of June as Seniors Month in the Town of Prescott and encourages all citizens to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors. All right, thanks, everyone. Next is period for media questions.
You had mentioned that you'll be meeting with Mayor Tooley from Augsburg later this week. I wondered if there was any wagers for the Stanley Cup final involved in that with the Canadian team and the American team going head to head.
We'll see. They got great wings over there, so I might have to do that. We'll do that. Thank you. No closed session, so therefore no rise and report. So we got confirming bylaw 28-2025. That bylaw 28-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on June 2nd, 2025, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Moved by Councillor Young.
I'd like to get it on the record.
And seconded by Councillor McConnell. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, last but not least, that the meeting be adjourned at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Kirkby and seconded by Councillor Burton.